Welcome to the Griefbully podcast. I am your host, J.Nicole. Thank you for joining our weekly discussion around grief, mental health, and your overall personal wellness. The Griefbully podcast will serve as a vehicle to help you navigate life's journey. Be sure to subscribe, review, and share the podcast with anyone in your life that you think it will help. Let's bully grief together. What's up, beautiful people? Welcome back to another episode of Griefbully podcast. I am your host, J.Nicole. Guys, we are back in the building, rocking and rolling with another episode. And today, I have a special guest, a friend, business partner, someone that I love and appreciate dearly. And I am honored to have him on the show today to just share a different side of him, a part of his journey, things that he's experienced over the last almost kind of just shy of a year or so, depending on when you check out the episode. We're going to get into a little bit of a deeper dive with the Devinwade, Dev Nasty, Mr. Choke Your Mom Out, Choke Your Pop Out.
That's not
all
for this.
Of that stuff.
Yeah, that's not for this show.
It doesn't follow you? It doesn't follow you?
I don't think. No.
Cool. So listen, we have Dev on the show today, and grief and loss and mental health and all of those things are so important. But I think a lot of times, two things. I think lately, mental health has kind of gotten to a point where maybe it becomes a buzzword in some regard. Mm-hmm. And it's not necessarily, say, like trendy intentionally, but I don't know that everyone really knows what it's like. And then do we take it for granted that when we say everybody's going through something, mm-hmm. but do we really understand sometimes the magnitude of what everyone's something could be?
Yeah, I don't think people understand what everyone's something could be. Perspective is a lot of things. You know, God made us all so different, yeah. And the way that we feel pain, you know what I'm saying? So even when they talk about something physical, different people argue over pain tolerance. You know, there's mental pain that people go through, and people take things differently. And even with, like, you know, the person who I'm here to talk about today, he often would ask me stuff about why I came out differently than him. You know what I'm saying? Based on us having a lot of similar situations, obviously coming from the same place. You know what I'm saying?
No, definitely. So just kind of to walk us into it, you kind of already did that. It's because he's a natural host. But because we kind of got into that a little bit briefly, so some people may or may not know, but at some point recently, you and yourself and your family went through some very, very tragic times. Mm-hmm. And we have talked about it. We talked about it pretty deep when it first happened. And then, you know, here and there we'll kind of touch on it, but not as deep. And I understand. I will say that when you know someone in a certain light, for example, like how I perceive you and how other people around you might see you, like Dev is the kind of person that his energy is just always in a good spot. Like even no matter what you're going through, I feel this way. It's just my opinion from the last couple of years of us being friends. So when this scenario presented itself, it was like, I don't want to idolize you, so I don't want to say like Superman losing his cape or something like that happening, but it was a very unusual experience to see someone really in the spot that you were in. So unfortunately, you lost your brother, and you're going to tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So I guess to try to understand what you're saying, it was I'm not normally in a situation where I feel like helpless.
Yeah, that's it. Yep.
So I'm you know, anybody that watches, you know, our shows and stuff, like so many things happen in business behind the scenes that go wrong. My mind instantly goes to, how can I fix it? I'm some people might even think when a problem occurs that I'm being like I don't care. No, it's not that I don't care. It's that I instantly go into, what can I do to salvage or fix this? And when you lose a person close to you in the way that it happened, it's like, there's no fixing. I can't do nothing about this. And that's where I felt like powerless, and the depression level is undescribable. I could not, like, suicidal, undescribable. You know what I'm saying? Like that level, you know.
No, that's definitely deep. I remember and I recall, I know exactly where I was. I was driving to work. We were having a conversation. It had only been maybe about a couple of days since your brother's passing. And you were saying that you just want this moment to just not be, like to just be able to hit that fast forward. And I think a lot of people can relate to that when you're just sitting in that powerlessness. It's such an uncomfortable, unfamiliar spot that is like, I need to get out of this. Was this your first time in life that you could remember feeling like that?
Yeah, when it was this level. So, one of my best friends, Breeze, his mom passed away. Well, in my mid-20s. It was like it felt terrible, devastating. I felt like when his mom died, I was like kind of paranoid. Like I thought my mom was going to die next, because when you lose somebody like that, beyond that, it was a lot of things that have happened over the years, cousins, uncles, things that happened. But this is different. Because so my family is very large. We're from Moore Street in Camden. Well, some people think we're from Cherry Street, depending on whatever era. And there's a lot of us. My mom is one of 15 brothers and sisters, 12
Wow.
in one house, stuff like that. So a lot of people, what they don't understand with my family dynamic, I was raised in like different people's houses, and these are family, like aunts and stuff. So I have a bunch of cousins, a ton of them. You know what 15 people make, obviously.
Yeah.
And but three of us, myself, Devin Robinson, Kevin Robinson, who was a year older than me, and then one more is Jerron Robinson. Us three were always called brothers, but we're actually cousins. We just were raised with each other. Like the amount of closeness, you couldn't get no closer. You know what I'm saying? And most people knew us for that, because they might see, these dudes live in the same house, they share a room, whatever the case may be. And with this loss, it was crazy, because certain things happen in your life, and the only people that I can call about those things is Kevin or Jerron, because they were the only ones there. You know what I mean? And now all I have is Kevin in that respect. So not being able to just reach out to him, first I wanna scroll back, because I could end up all over the place. Excuse me, y'all, because it took a lot for me to even do this. I kind of been postponing this for a long time or whatever, because I don't want to be the guy like on camera, like just crying and can't get words out and stuff. My brother Jerron dealt with a lot of things from like childhood trauma, things that happened to him specifically, things that happened with everybody, that he just dealt with differently. He had a lot of anger behind it with his mother. You know what I'm saying? He had a lot of different anger. At one point he ended up in a juvenile. It was like a program. A lot of people know of it. I'm trying to think of Vision Quest. He was in Vision Quest. It was a lot of different things that happened with him. I mean, there was a issue with him, dealing with an older woman that was, you know what I'm saying? Things that was inappropriate that took place around like 14 years old, with like a woman that was like 30. It's a lot of things that happened that affected him in a certain type of way, and had him in a real depressed state about life. And I watched him struggle with these things forever. The way that he would lash out would be differently. And then obviously that's where the talks come in, where he's saying, why am I, in his mind, why am I messed up and you're just doing what you're doing, getting in front of cameras, talking to people, doing shows, and just having that conversation with him, where it's like, bro, we're just different. You know what I'm saying? And having to constantly, remind somebody about how important they are, and name all of these great things that they, did for you. Now, some years back, I remember he got into some kind of argument with his wife or something like that, and he calls me and he says, it was like super early in the morning. he calls me and he says, I need you to take care of Jonah, his son. I need you to take care of my son because I'm not going to be here to do it. And he just hangs up the phone. Now, mind you, it's like 6:00 in the morning. I hop out the bed. I'm calling him back. I'm calling everybody. I'm calling my brother Kev. I'm calling everybody. And even then trying to explain that to, what I told to his wife, I try to explain to her, like, she's like, oh, he's just talking. Because a lot of people do say things to invoke a reaction. And I said, I'm telling you now, he not calling me saying that. He means it. My brother Kev actually left his job, sped over to the house, went in there, had to like kick in the door, went in the house and found him on the floor, and he had overdosed on pills. This was years ago. They got him, to the hospital. They had to like keep him there longer though than the first day because they were like pumping his stomach trying to get the stuff out of him. And that was like when he first entered into like the real like mental health world where he would be the inpatient at a place. We have to go visit him and see him, and then they'll let him out and he'll do well for a while. And then, triggers will happen. And there was multiple times that he actually attempted it. And I'm not saying you'll get numb to it, but you'll start to feel like nothing's going to happen to him. Almost like, he's invincible. He's going to try this type of stuff. And there was another time where he did something and he tried to kill himself with like car exhaust. But he had, I think his wife put had a tracker on his phone, and we were able to go over there and find him. But when I showed up, I think that I thought, this is like crazy stuff, man. I thought that he shot himself because when I started getting up to the car, it was like in the woods. It was the glass was broken. But really what happened was the authorities had got there. He was like knocked out in the car. They bust the window out and took him out. So he was in the hospital again. So he dealt with that kind of stuff before. But on January the 30th of January or whatever, or January 31st, whatever, I woke up to a call from his wife, and she said he did it again, with pills, but she's hysterical. She's saying, I think he really did it this time. Like, I'm trying to talk to him and his eyes are rolling back. The people in the ambulance, the EMTs, they're there they take him out and all of that stuff, rush him to the hospital. And, I had to go down to Atlantic City, and they weren't even letting his wife see him. It was very, very strange. She's saying, like, they won't let me up there. I don't know what's going on. So once I showed up and they found out who I was, they was like, okay, we'll talk to you. This is what's happening with him. But what was crazy was there was a security guard there. And the security guard, because we wasn't getting any information, I'm getting anxious. He's telling me, listen, man, your brother is fine. I've saw him back there. They got him under control. He's just asleep right now, but he is fine. I'm telling you, I was back there and saw him. And this guy couldn't have been more wrong. Couldn't have been more wrong. I still to this day don't know whether or not he confused who we were talking about, or if he was just willing to say anything to calm us down in the waiting room of the hospital.
Yeah, that's a lot. I mean, you said so many things there that I'm just trying to think about all of it. One thing that I think too, when we talk about just like our childhoods, and especially like how a lot of us grew up in just different households and mixed family, and then but also experiencing similar traumas and different experiences, but coming out differently. So when you said we're just different, what can you elaborate on that? Because I think that can't just be breezed past because we've all been faced with those things.
So one of the things is so if you know what an empath is, that's a person that feels for other people. I naturally feel for other people and things like that, but him is on a different level. He could see people suffering in, whatever's going on in Israel and Palestine, and really be like depressed about what's happening.
Okay.
He, when he sees somebody that's in trouble, he's going to do anything he could. Like, it's certain dangerous situations that I watched him get in. Even with me when we were younger, like I'm talking about life or death, guns, death, and it was because he felt bad when somebody else was in trouble. So even something as small as from something big like that all the way to something as small as, you grow up in the 80s, and in the 80s and 90s, something happens, you get in a fight at school, your parents to walk you around the other person's house and make you throw hands and for me, I was completely fine with that. And he was the toughest one, so I looked at it like he's completely fine with that. But as talking to him as grown men when we would speak, he hated it. He didn't like putting his hands on beating somebody up. He didn't like any of that type of stuff. So even with something that small that you don't realize, like what separates people and make them, you know what I'm saying? I might be able to, be in an abusive situation with, like I said, I don't want to be like throwing nobody under the bus, but with parental figures and things like that, and be able to grow up and just say, yo, I accept your apology. I know you was going through a lot, whether it was drugs was the problem, the fact that you was abused, hurt people.
Sure.
It wasn't as easy for him to just say, I'm cool with the fact that you did what you did to me when I was younger. Me, on the other hand, I find like a peace in letting stuff rock. You know what I'm saying? Like I can say, when when I was younger and I was living with my aunt that I call mom. You met my mom. You met both of my moms.
Yeah.
But she ended up on crack during that crack era. And at 10 years old, she kicked me out the house. So I ended up living with another family member. Actually, me and my brother Kev went and stayed with that family member. Things like that, I feel like she's more upset about it than me, apologetic. I'm sorry that I did that I kicked you out of and for me, it's just like, yo, it's all love. I love you. You was going through something. I'm all right. I'm cool. It wasn't the same way for him.
I think I would say, and again, I'm don't know any research on this, but I would say more people are like Jerron in the sense that you carry that resentment and you feel a certain way, where I think it's harder, just based on my friends and just family and even myself in some seasons of my life, where it's harder to just be like, I get it, like you were going through stuff. I'm more like that now, but I think most people have that, just that anger, that resentment. And then also too, when you become a parent yourself, it's like harder to understand to an extent maybe how people acted and behaved, where I think it becomes a little more easy to understand, like, man, if that was my cards, but I can understand, what he's saying there about feeling that way and how you explain that. When you were going to the hospital and you got this call this time, unfortunately, what was your mindset? What was your hope level like? Like, did the security guard have you become more calm, or did you still feel like, until I get to him and see him, I can't believe anything?
I felt more calm.
Okay.
He survived situations from before. See, this is the thing that people don't understand, right? About committing suicide. And I know that's a controversial word right now. People want to say other things, but I disagree. And I have the right to, what's
in case
term?
people don't know,
Yeah.
It has been changed where people would say died by
suicide.
Yeah.
The reason why I say commit suicide is because it's the ultimate commitment. Some, people have been down in their life before and thought about it, but when you really go through with it, it's a different level of commitment. You're saying goodbye to everybody you love, your family, people that rely on you, all kind of stuff. Putting people in financial is a lot that goes with that. So A lot of people think that people are bluffing because they've said it before and didn't do it. But you understand, you only die once.
Mm.
You can't say that because you only die one time. So if you thought they were bluffing that the first 3 times they tried or whatever you thought they would, and then they died, was they pretending the other times? No, they weren't.
That's real.
They weren't pretending. You just couldn't understand that people aren't always looking for attention, and even if they are, that doesn't mean that they're not teetering with that edge of doing that. Other family members, cousins would say things like, you know what, this time must have been different, Dev, because there was no breadcrumb. He didn't call me like he did the first time and say, yo, take care of my son, bro, and hang up the phone.
Mm-hmm.
That gave me a lifeline and opportunity to get one of us over there to do it. Wasn't no call this time. I talked to him some days before that, and we had a phone conversation that was, I believe, 2 hours and 38 minutes because I look at a screenshot of that call all the time where we talked about everything. I had to remind him of how important he was. He was just in a down place, and I had to really explain to him all the things that we, went through. How, when we were in, he's in one house over here out in Berlin. I'm in Camden or Pennsauken. He might be at his house with no electricity or, the water's cut off. I still wanted to, and I'm coming here this weekend. I'm spending the night over here because I'm explaining to him like it didn't matter if things was messed up over there or whatever. I came there for you. Even during his little youth bid and everything, the phone all day. You know what I'm saying? All day. Then you get your little, like they get like a work release thing. We was going to find ways. I'm going to go to your job. Just trying to explain to somebody how important they are. And we just reflected on so many crazy adventures. I never tell, the full story of how I ended up down south and had to rescue my, a girl that I went to school with that became my girlfriend from a kidnapping situation. It was him that helped me with that situation, him and some of his friends. And I had to hide for 2 years. And, I explained to him like, bro, you're the reason why there's certain people that even exist in this world at this point. You're an important person. And what's painful is that a few days after that conversation, it wasn't enough. You'll start reflecting back to be like, yo, what could I have said differently? Because I feel like if he would have called me that morning or the middle of the night, he wouldn't have did what he did. So it's almost like, I'm not going to call Dev. I'm not going to call Kevin because I don't want to get talked out of it.
So can I ask you, are you angry at him?
No.
Maybe mad could be a little, like you have no anger, no mad, no nothing. You're not pissed. You never felt no way like this is messed up.
To be honest, I know a lot of people go through that and they feel anger towards him. Mm-hmm. I don't. It's all sadness. Mm. I start really thinking about like in my depressed times and all, different people in my family depressed time, like what he really was feeling that whole time, like what he was really walking around holding when you take it that far. You gotta understand, like we're talking about a person that got a wife, that got a son, that got 2 daughters, brothers that love him, cousins, big fan, everybody love you. But you can't see yourself as a valuable person for whatever reason. You just don't see that in yourself. It is wild.
No, that's real. And so as you talk about that, I think it was not ironic, I'll say interesting, that you mentioned your experience after his passing, feeling so depressed, and you said almost like suicidal. So the fact that you're grieving and dealing with the fact that someone that you love just took their life, how could that even enter in your mind? What got you, like, what was that like?
You know what it is? It's because a lot of people deal with depression, and it's chemical. It's not about your life being trash. It's not about, for me, I mean, and I'm not an expert, y'all, so I don't think it's related necessarily to, oh, what happened when I was little, or my mom was on drugs, or this person, or I got moved from house to house. Like, it wasn't, I really don't feel like I feel any way about that. I think sometimes it's literally something that's chemical, especially if you see that a lot of people in your family, that your blood relatives, struggle, with these things. So I think it was more like, you made it all the way 44 and it still happened. So if I had those kind of thoughts at a 32, am I not out the woods? Because you still did it after you. Sometimes you feel like, man, you made it this far. Come on, dog, come on. You ain't nobody gonna do that. You look how long you done survived all of this stuff.
Yeah.
You done just survived way worse financial situations. You're good in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
To do that this late in the game really made me look at it like, wow. And what happens too is you have people in your life that you feel also define who you are. Like if I like when I said it's certain experiences only me and him had.
Mm-hmm.
Certain experiences only me and Kevin had. We got call him Bear, but for the sake of y'all, I'm trying. That Kevin had. So when you're in a place that feels so dark, when I say I can't describe what this felt like, I literally feel like whatever they said, where you are, the dot that you are in the universe, I felt like I knew where that dot was and how big this void was, how big and black this void was. And I'm trying to figure out where my brother at.
Ooh.
Like, yo, where he at? Like, cause the thing is, he can't be nowhere. So in my mind, all I could think is, where is Pooh? Where is he at? And that part will drive you crazy. Also, like my mom was super concerned because she didn't like me asking questions like that. She's like, I'm worried. I don't like you asking things like that because obviously the tone, what was going on, I'm crying, but I'm trying to really figure out, where is he? And I never wondered where a person was more than this, even with all the other losses that I had. I mean, we from Camden, New Jersey. You got friends, people passing away. You already know what is with this pill epidemic.
Mm-hmm.
We losing people all the time. This time I really was, where is he at?
When's the last time you asked yourself that question?
I still do.
Because you're talking a lot in I was wondering where was my brother. I wanted to know this, so it seemed a little more past tense. So like, is that something you still got going on now?
Yeah, but I'm like super grateful to be where I am mentally now, because I thought my life was over. To be 100% honest, yo. Like, I think it was like the woman that I dealt with before I got with my girl. So, me and my girl been together for so long now. But I remember that she lost a sibling, and she went into this super dark thing that I just couldn't understand. I'm no idiot.
Yeah.
I get like you lost somebody, but how long it lasted, how it was like impossible for her to have a conversation where she didn't bring that up, constant crying randomly. It was like, yo, what's going on? Instantly, I was like, oh, I know now. Fully understood now. Got them fully understood. I told people understood that I had a falling out with my friends that I did $1 million worth of game with. I instantly thought about Wallow. I was on my couch crying, thinking about Low. Like, yo, this is what he went through. And he was in a cell or something.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like the world becomes a surreal place when people are in your house that their character, their role in your life, they're never in your house. So if I'm I know it's real, because sometimes you like, this ain't real. When I'm sitting on my couch and I look over to the left of me and my sensei is in there, for y'all that know that I'm a martial artist, our relationship is in a dojo. That's where we train, compete with each other. That's where that is. So you start seeing all of these people dropping by your house, people that never even came to your home. You could know them for years, and now everybody and they just dare to be like, I'm just here. I don't got nothing I could do for you. I'm just know I'm in the house, man. I'm here. People making sure that you cool because they lost people through suicide and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's so real, it's so deep. But I again, you're saying so much that I don't want people to miss that. So, two things: when you say you don't know until you're actually in somebody's shoes, and even then, you don't know 100%, but you can empathize a lot more, like you said. But the other thing is, we always say, like, I wouldn't wish something on my worst enemy. And so, for you to touch on the whole thing with Wallow and him losing his brother. And this is, guys, with people being at odds, or not even say at odds, but just whatever they went through.
Yeah, again, you don't care about none of that.
You don't care about none of that, because this is why this show exists, because we have this human experience that we have to live without people that we've only lived with.
So
that's real.
So this is a crazy part too. How you can damn, I want to say this wrong. This is so important, and it's like I'm no expert, y'all. So anything I'm trying to say, please don't misconstrue what I'm saying. But you know how you get like a cut or you break your finger or something like that, and you keep touching it. You got a toothache, you keep touching it, and you know it's going to hurt, and you keep doing it. It's kind of like you do that with the pain too. It's like why people put on sad music. Right? But also it's because when Jerron died, none of my other problems seemed like they were problems. Nothing. Sometimes I gotta remind myself, like, bro, your brother died, bro. You think it matters that you didn't pick up a second contract with this person, or you didn't? We talking about money, something that's gonna buy you some extra, what, I don't know. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like you start really thinking about other issues and things that they not life or death things. Those are resolvable things. And even if they, it's like, bro, that don't even matter. You realize that the only thing unfixable is death. So it really like, it was also like a life lesson that makes me be able to accept other things easier. You think that I'm worried about losing a show, and I lost my like a third of myself. Like I said, when you a trio and that's what it is, you might start thinking about anybody. You might start thinking about Migos or somebody that you like, yo, these dudes experience all these things together. One of them's missing. And what that can do. So yeah, you just realize like, yo, none of this matters, man. I just want my people to be healthy. We good. We everybody eats every day. We live in comfort. We at work, cool. All that other shit, man, come on. We ain't no reason to be arguing about that stuff.
Yeah, it's interesting that you went through one of the most difficult times, which could be like the heaviest burden, and still at times be the heaviest thing. And you seem, and you can elaborate here, like you came out or are working through a different lens and perspective on life now, where it seems like a little more lighter. So like for you to be able to put things in perspective and say, hey, this going on, don't have this contract, not having that, lost this, blah, blah, blah. It's not that serious, where sometimes people come out of tragedy 10 times worse and can't see any light and everything is doom and gloom. How can you offer that to somebody else? And that's like, man, I'm losing this person. I lost that person. I haven't been able to get back to any piece of normalcy.
I really don't have the answer for that because I do now worry more about losing people. So it's more of a paranoia with that. That's where what it changes into. It changes into, yo, this person didn't answer the phone. Are they good? You know what I'm saying? Like, because now that's the only thing that I have a true ultimate value on. I want to know, my girl's alive, my son's good, those are the things that really, really, really count. I'm making sure that my people are straight. Other than that, all that other stuff, it just doesn't matter. So I don't know how another person would be able to adjust to that, if it would make them numb. I know that, like I said, it really does make you feel like you don't care about some other things as much. You know what I'm saying? When you going through something, people might want you to, like, people got jobs. Your job wants you to just go back to work.
Yeah.
It's like that.
Yeah.
Listen, trust me, y'all, it's like that with everything. At the end of the day, people going to be like, whether it's people that's fans of your work, people that you work alongside with, you go through whatever you going through, where the podcast at? That's what they think. Let's talk about the podcast. And you could be thinking in your mind, like, a podcast? To be honest, at that time, you're like, bro, I'll never talk on a microphone again. I don't care.
That's real.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you're going to go through that. So those are some of the things that people got to battle with too while they're going through this, is the regular life things, your jobs, your coworkers, your business partners, whatever you're doing. To them, they're not in it. They're in it where they feel bad. But all right, what are we getting back to?
Exactly, because it's the benefit on the other end. I mean, I think there was a woman that I follow, and she lost her daughter. Now, this is somebody who's got money, success, everything. And she just every day is just posting like, I actually don't care. Like, only daughter. So it's like, this is your only daughter, unexpected, young. Like, the woman's only got to be like probably 40-ish, something like that. Her daughter was like 21 or 22. So when you look at those things, and it's like, why isn't that enough for us to be able to continue moving through life, realizing that today really isn't promised for you or me? Tomorrow, we don't know today is here, but tomorrow is not really promised for any of us. Why do you think it's so hard for us to stay in that space? Because I'm guilty of this, like after I lose people, I lost one of my close friends back in 2022, August. I've lost people, you know that. And you may not know that, but I've lost my dad. I've lost my grandmother. So in those moments, I feel more like the paranoia, because I still suffer from that. I didn't fly for 5 years because I'm like, I'm going to die. But I don't always stay in that space of gratitude and not getting so stressed and worry about things that at some point are going to become minimal again. Like that constant like seesaw. It's not important. It's super important. Like what?
Yeah, I mean, that's going to happen because obviously, being in a better place is the place where you do forget, like, to be honest, like because that's why I said it's like you get tethered. You like look for it sometimes, or sometimes like this. You came to my brother's, send off or whatever, you came there, Talk Heavy came there. And, even during that time, it was people, all family that love him and everything. We're talking about blood cousins, blood sisters, all of that. They broke down upon seeing me because I am that reminder when it's like if the amigos or anything else. Yeah. If I see you, it's always supposed to be this person there. So it was them walking in there and seeing me. As soon as I would catch eye contact with somebody, they're bawling because they're also like, how do you feel? My aunt, his mother, when I go over there, whatever, she texts me and was just like, sometimes when you're there, I don't want to weird you out or like remind you of something, but I just want to hug you and hold on to you because it's like the only thing I got of my son. And she said to me, I don't expect, it was a weird thing. I didn't know what she was saying at first. She said, I don't expect you to feel the same way that I feel about losing my son. She was like, I understand that y'all thing is a different thing. That the closeness, I don't even know y'all. She was like, and sometimes I want to bring him up, but I don't want to, upset you. And I told her, like, you have to, anytime you want to, you got to, you know what I'm saying?
Do you think bringing him up, it upsets you? Like, do you feel, because in being full transparency with us having the show and recording and all of that stuff like that, like after the passing of your brother, you didn't really sit in the conversations. And I checked on you. Like, I'll say, like, hey, you know, how is Dev the human? Like just how are you? Like, but I don't know if it's as open door to just talk about it.
Well, because it's hard, because this is a grief show. So I'm coming in here. I've been, recording this show for a long time before coming to this network and everything like that. And obviously, for those that don't know, my actual job as a production company, she's a business partner with me in that. But having to hear other people's stories of loss when it's fresh and we're face to face, it's not like watching on TV. Like, this is a human being that's going through that's sitting in the seat that I'm sitting in now while I'm sitting behind the computer. And it's like, oh yeah, I ain't ready to be in here like crying in front of people. Let me, let me slide out or whatever. Just like I said, I was avoiding this I got like nervous and went in the bathroom like before coming here. I'm like, oh man, I'm about to cancel this joint.
No, you're not canceling it. You weren't going to cancel it. But do you feel that crying has helped you, or does it hurt you? Like,
it helps actually. Sometimes like when you have that good one for that moment, it does after, because you can only cry so long, right? And then you get back to what you're going to. You got to think like, I design for a living. I work on I spend a lot of time in solitude.
That's true.
Y'all. So much time. You might watch this stuff and see me with the crew and everything like that, but I have to spend so much time at the desk, editing, drawing, designing. I might be designing something, drawing for 15 hours straight, like regularly. During that time, you don't got nothing to do but think.
That's true.
Songs come on that remind you of that person, whether it's something they used to listen to. Sometimes you feel compelled to start listening to because you're looking for anything of them. But I was like recently listening to some song on repeat, and I didn't even realize it was like a gospel song. I don't know what it is. That the lyrics go something like, all at once I came alive, these bleeding hearts, something like that, right? So I'm listening to this song because I saw a UFC fighter come to the ring with it, and I was like, yo, that song is dope. So I'm listening to it on repeat, realize it's like a gospel song or something. And I had this joint on repeat. And while that song is on, I'm literally thinking about this dude for an hour, right? And then his sister texted me and just was like, every time I think about him, I think about you. And I'm like, yo, I'm literally in here just listening. Like, that's all. This is what's on my mind. And it'll be stuff like that I had you start crying about something. And with my son, he had like a talk with me where he was like, I don't want you to feel like I don't care, but I don't be knowing what to do. If you see somebody that you never see crying or nothing, and you could hear me through the vents, he's like, I can hear you downstairs. Like, wow. I don't know what to do. I can't fix this. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's, even when you hear that from somebody, you're like, damn. Because you start feeling like you getting on people's nerves. Like, I don't want to be in here crying. Me and my girl could be watching anything. I'm sitting there watching documentaries about wrestlers and the dude brother kills himself. And I know that in her mind, she's like, I hope this ain't. It's like if two people was together and one cheated on the other one before, and now the dude in the movie is cheating. It's kind of like that. It's obvious. It's in a room. It's in a room. So especially when it's situations that's so close in scenario where it's like, I know she's thinking about it, and I'm in here just trying to get past this part. Because, ain't no way I'm going to ever see anybody that says something about, that threatens to kill themselves, that, talks about how dark or depressed they get. I feel almost compelled to reach out to them, to say something in their DM, who are the strangers, hey, man, because I know how, like, that's real. You're going to affect a lot of people. You're going to put people in some bad situations. You're going to leave people behind financially. Is somebody going to have to pick up that tab? It's a lot that happens.
It's a lot that happens. And I think having more of the open conversations like this and just being able to communicate that perspective, humanizing, not glorifying, but humanizing it, and really being open about that. I don't know exactly how to ask this, but because I think when anybody dies, for the most part, it's something that you weren't really expecting. Because even when I had loved ones in the hospital on hospice, it's like a part of your brain. This is, again, my experience where I'm like, they're not going to die, though. Like death isn't coming, so you don't always accept it. So because the time was kind of stolen from you, everything just like transpired really quickly. You went to the hospital, you did all that. Have you found yourself thinking about, in those solitude moments, what you would say to your brother now, or like, do you just talk out loud openly, or has the relationship not been able to transcend into intangible?
So one, I'm so glad that I was because I know a lot of people lose people and they never get that like closure. I'm so grateful that whatever happened and we was able to sit and have that conversation for that 2 hours and 38 minutes, right? But also when I got to the hospital and they ended up asking me, they ended up telling us to go into this room. They were just like, just the brother and his wife, they're the only ones that could go or whatever. We go and they sit us in this room. Now, mind you, I'm in this room waiting. She's nervous. I'm telling her like, yo, that security guard says such and such. We're on another floor now. That same guard comes, knocks on the door, comes in there, offers us water or something, and he says, just relax. He is fine.
Oh
This
goodness.
dude tells me this. She's kind of annoyed, closes the door. She's like, I'm not listening to a security guard. Like, I'm trying to hold on to everything.
Mm-hmm.
When the doctor came in, different vibe.
Yeah.
Doctor comes in and says, do you know what kind of depression medicine? Because that's what he did, was he overdosed on all of his different depression medications. And they were talking about the things that they could see in the toxicology or whatever, but they were trying to say, we're trying to figure this out because we're trying to figure out how to neutralize this. When they walk you into a room,
been there,
and there's a line of doctors, you're sitting in a conference table now. This isn't a regular, you're at they said, I'm letting you know that your brother is the sickest person in this hospital.
oh.
We're trying everything. We're trying to stabilize him enough that because we don't have the machine here that we need to get him to a place where we can put him on a helicopter and take him to this other place that had that. So when they're telling you these things and they're like trying to explain to you like, this is so serious, but we're going to try everything in our power, you're like, you start withering away. And then I'm in there, get to go in there a couple times. I see him, the machine's got him running. I'm talking to him out loud. That's what made me think about that. I'm talking to him. Everything's going to mean something to you because you want it to, right? You want it to.
Elaborate on that.
So while I'm talking to him, a tear just runs out of his eyes. And for the doctors or the nurses that's in there, they're like, that's just a reaction that could happen from, whatever, like whatever's happening. He's breathing, he got tubes in him, whatever the case may be. But it was just that one thing while I'm talking to him. And yeah, man, I talked to my brother at that time. And then when it got super late and they told everybody, like, there's nothing else we could do for the night, we shutting down. You guys go home, we'll figure out what to do from there. I came back from Atlantic City all the way back to this side of Camden County of Jersey, went to sleep, got a call from the wife in the middle of the night. They said, we got to come right now. It's over. It's nothing they can do. So basically she was asking me like permission, like to pull the plug or whatever they call, you know what I'm saying? And we had to get right back up, ride down there, say your last goodbyes, man, you just want to touch any part of their body you can, touching his feet, touch his face, touch his hair, anything. That shit is crazy. But I said everything that I could say. And it's just wild being in that room with other people when you guys were all just in the Dominican Republic together for a week, and just having fun and just drinks. And my brother Kevin got married, and he went and got his Jerron went and got his paperwork so that he could be the officiant. So he married them and everything. And like we at least had that. And it's like, now you really just sitting in this room looking around at everybody just distraught. And this is it. It's over. Yeah. Crazy. Unreal. See his kids there. It's like him and his son like this. Crazy.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot to process. It's a lot to share. It's a lot to talk about. Thank you for walking us into that side. And I think that I'm sure some people will feel whatever way, but hopefully you can see that there's going to come a time where the things that you think are the most important are not the most important. And what I've realized is just time, because it was something that, it was a quote that I was like, you never understand the value of a moment until that's all you have is that memory. So like going to the DR, when you're there, you're not thinking like, but see, the weird thing is for me, but now I think about moments because I think at some point somebody going to die, because it's just, again, when you have experienced certain levels of trauma and loss, I do think of it that way. Like, I just had my daughter's birthday party. It's like, man, I got all these people there together. Some of the older people, like, okay, so weird. When I got the video back, I'm like, okay, she's in the video. It's in my mind, I'm like, at some point, somebody in here going to die. And it's going to be like, oh, I'm glad we have this.
So there's a picture. My cousin Mike, he's divorced now, so he calls it the family banquet now, but it was really his wedding. These pictures from it.
That's kind of funny.
But there's a picture of all the men on a step. And it's so crazy because when you look at the picture, now you start reading all this extra stuff in the picture. You go to the top of at the top of these stairs, everybody's got tuxedos on. In order and how they died, it's my uncles, and my brother. So it's like, holy, this is in order. Uncle Mike, Uncle Kev, Jerron. And now you're really wondering, like, you start looking in the pictures and thinking things that you don't even believe. I'm not like a superstitious person or nothing.
Yeah, me either.
But I look in pictures and just wonder, what was he thinking at that moment? I look at all these pictures and I notice on how many of those pictures he's holding on to me. You look at all of these pictures, and somehow out of this crowd of people is going to be him holding on my shirt on the back of me at all time, even as babies. You things mean more now. Like, though, even those pictures going back to him, like, they mean something different. His wife, when she sent me when he first passed, and she said, yo, he worshiped you. Even that type of stuff, you feel like, well, not enough to listen to me when you start like just critiquing things, and it's crazy.
Yeah, no, your mind could definitely run wild. I mean, I think that I'm glad you got to get a lot of this out and express it, because it's not easy and it's not something that we always do. But I can't let you go without telling me, if you had to choose a color for your grief, what would it be and why?
It's black. Like I told you, I felt like I was in a dark hole somewhere, pit of your stomach, floating out in space. Whatever you would feel if you was on a spaceship and somebody pushed you out and you was just floating and you can't see where the next planet is at and you just in the dark, that's where I was. It wasn't nothing beautiful, no dope color, no nothing about mine, to be honest. You know what I mean? Black. Sorry, y'all.
No, listen, you're not the only person that feels that way. I mean, I think that our mood and our perspective and how we see things is just a reality, and it's just kind of where we are. We share these conversations because also, again, for the show too, like having a lot of men of color on it is very important, because it's not something that you always see. Again, like I said in the beginning of the episode, And again, not to say that I think mental health and mental illness has not been taken serious. I think we have done a phenomenal job, crazy strides forward. But I don't know that we always deep dive in public what the reality of that looks like, to say, oh, yeah, that guy was depressed. Yeah, a lot of people having depression. But like, this conversation can show you, no, this is what depression can lead to. This is how sometimes it stems from everybody being in a similar situation. Maybe it is chemical. A lot of times things are biopsychosocial. So chemical, also your environment, your influence, it all depends. So I don't know that we always show as much. So that was the goal, of the conversation too, to just show that
people don't
part.
want to say publicly that they're depressed because people link depression to failure.
That's deep.
If I express to people that I feel at my lowest point, people just have this thing where they like want to equate it to, he must be broke, or he must be his wife must be cheating on him. Like, that's how people don't.
That's true.
So people aren't going to say that. A person could be a millionaire. They're doing very well for themselves. They got everything. They can't figure out what the hell is wrong with me. That can even drive a person more crazy.
Yeah.
It's like, yo, I got money. My family's, what the is wrong? And people don't want to put that stuff out there, because especially if you tell the public that you having thoughts about taking your own life, there's going to be people that joke about that. Well, then do it then.
That's
man,
true.
people don't understand, man. People going through stuff, man.
Nah, people definitely going through stuff, and we appreciate you tuning in and checking out this conversation with the very, very familiar face here on the network, and just understanding what it's like to go through tough times.
I want to say something real quick. That's why this was like important. Y'all, when we do our shows, it's not, sometimes we'll get serious on the show, but most of the time I know that when y'all come to the network, y'all come here to laugh, or and sometimes I don't know what y'all want, to be honest. So in my mind, I'm like, oh, if somebody getting ready to watch the show, they done rolled up, whatever they did. They got their food ready, and now I'm going to talk to them about something real. They might be like, damn, this ain't even, I thought I was about to bug out with the gang. So I said, well, maybe I should just start showing you guys other programming where we could talk about some real things, because it's been so many episodes that you've done that are things that people they just need to hear it. They need to hear it. They need to hear these other stories. They need to know that there's other parts of the personalities that y'all see on this network, and people that aren't on this network that'll be coming on here. You did a phenomenal episode with Oskino. Phenomenal. Y'all go and watch the Griefbully Oskino one right after this. And I just think it's super important, and I'm glad that we're able to give this and other kind of content to the audience.
Nah, definitely. We're going to keep trying to bring these conversations, provide a healing platform, and just be able to show more of our experience. And listen, like we said, death, loss, grief, mourning, all of that stuff is one thing that we all are going to be faced with, whether we want to or not. How we move through it. So tuning into the show can help you see, okay, I've been through something similar, or that person went through that, and just taking different nuggets and gems, but just to realize, like, you're not alone. Like, you are not by yourself in this experience. Life is tough, it's hard, but yeah, you got this. So drop a comment, let us know your thoughts on the show, the feedback. Maybe we can send Dev some love and just continue on his journey of healing and moving forward. And if you're not following me already, I don't know what the heck you're doing. You know where to find this guy. If you don't, it's at Devinwade on the social media platform, Instagram, and me. He doesn't want to talk to you probably on there because he's I don't know what he does with his DMs. And to the wifey, I'm not telling.
Yeah, she's not. She doesn't mean
I am
that.
making a public service announcement. I am not telling people, women, to slide into his DMs. So let's just make that clear. But yeah, you can follow me over on Instagram at I_am_J.Nicole. Guys, so next time, you already know. Love and light. Peace.